In 1957, then-Senator Lyndon Johnson addressed the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association's annual meeting in Chicago as the keynote speaker.
He mentioned what they should do is to bring in youth, bring in your young people into Washington, sponsor a trip so these young people know how government works and how important electricity is and NRECA.
With that encouragement, the seeds of the tour were planted, starting out with just a few participating states and a small group of students. The idea grew and other states began sending more kids. In 1964, NRECA began to coordinate joint activities among the state delegations and suggested that co-op representatives from each state arrange to be in Washington, D.C. during Youth Tour Week.
I do hope you all enjoy your trip to Washington and that it gives you a new perspective about your government. I hope you will never let anybody make you believe that your government is something way off apart from you, when as a matter of fact, it is you.
The first year of the coordinated tour included about 400 teens from 12 states, and Lyndon Johnson, the man who had inspired the tour, was now President of the United States.
They had requested this meeting at the White House, and it was getting into late May, and of course the youth tour is in June, and still no response. At the time, I was Cope Moyer's kindergarten teacher. Cope Moyers was Bill Moyer's son, who was Lyndon Johnson's press secretary. I thought, why not just say National Rural Electric Cooperative Association has requested a visit. And wouldn't you know, the very next day, the invitation came.
Mr. and Miss Rural America, the President of the United States.
Over the years of my public career, no other domestic activity has been closer to my heart than the program which has lighted the homes and the lives of rural America. I have the highest confidence that you will, by your hands and your hearts, turn on many lights at home and in the world.
And so the joint Rural Electric Youth Tour was born. For the next 50 years, cooperatives across the country sponsored their best and brightest youth on a trip to our nation's capital. Together, they toured Washington's monuments and memorials, visited their representatives on Capitol Hill, and saw the roots of American history. They learn about electric co-ops and grassroots political advocacy, and they have fun, dancing, making lifelong friendships, and expanding their horizons.
I was looking forward to it, and frankly was excited about meeting other folks from similar backgrounds going on the same trip.
Yeah, there were maybe 50 or so students from Mississippi who were a part of the trip with me, but then you have 1,500, 2,000 people from across the United States. And to be with them in the Capitol for the first time, exploring it together for the first time, was an incredible experience to learn not just about the Capitol, but really about America through the eyes of all these other people.
While students visit their representatives and the Capitol's historic sites, they learn about the critical role electric cooperatives play in our nation's history and how they can play a part in our nation's future.
Being able to go and talk about issues that matter to me with my elected officials was an amazing experience for a 17-year-old girl from rural America.
Our young people, especially those in the rural farm areas, are just some of the greatest kids, and they need to be honored and they need to be sent here to learn more about their country.
The youth tours do a tremendous job in being able to broaden the horizons of these young people. It is absolutely essential for this nation for youth to have these types of experiences.
So I just remember, learning so much about our nation, learning so much about what we could do as future leaders and about how we could impact, the country. I think that's my main takeaway from the youth tour is that, wow, we're young, but we are growing up in an era where we are being, faced with so much, so much is going on in the world, but, it's up to us to step up and be leaders and to make a positive impact on our community and our world.
As the Rural Electric Youth Tour enters its next 50 years, NRECA and electric cooperatives across the nation continue to foster the next generation of leaders to carry on a legacy of education and impact. 50 years from now, as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of Youth Tour, the work students start today will carry on throughout their lives to touch millions.